Ben Blaine, Chris Blaine and Cassandra Sigsgaard while I'm on television. So, thank you. Try not to trip over this. First of all, again, thanks so much for bringing the film to Nottingham and to Broadway and Mayhem Film Festival. You were talking about the film coming from a dark place in your heart. What is the origin of the story then, really?
It's a true story.
I think there's another mic.
There's just another one. Okay.
That's it.
Well, you two share.
Yeah, so the story, it very initially started out a very long time ago when I was working in off license, and the kind of the relationship between Rob and Lena's parents.
You found there's a problem, Mike wrote around. Don't worry.
This is working. It's good. It's solved. And so I started, and yeah, so that sort of initial relationship came from witnessing a very sort of tragic thing that happened to one of the regular guys who came into the shop, whose daughter died in a car accident. And I started writing a fairly kind of straightforward script about that was quite boring. And then that kind of went nowhere. And then much later, sort of when a very different sort of grief had kind of come into our lives, you sort of come back to that idea, and it suddenly kind of, things changed, didn't it? And then it kind of, sort of Nina came into the script properly was what sort of really happened. Yeah, so that's sort of where it came from.
And Cassandra, was that what drew you to the project? I mean, you've been working developing it. Was it always that idea? Did it always work for you? Or was it something that just...
It very much came from Chris and Ben. We've been working on a very different project, romantic comedy, and the boys kind of said, "Oh, we've got this thing, and we're working on it. And sorry, we're not going to give you the draft that you've been expecting.
And paid for.
We're going to give you this other thing that you're going to hate. And sorry." And so they brought me the script, and the script that we ended up shooting is very similar to the script that they brought to me originally. And I just loved it, and I loved that it was really dark and had so much to say, but was good for me.
It's that darkness as well that seems to have been very embraced by audiences. You've been across a whole range of horror film festivals, internationally and nationally. Was that what you expected?
No. This film, we didn't know it was a horror film when we were making it. It was mainly about the pleasure of cleaning a house. And then South by, they were questioning, so we premiered at South by Southwest, and they were questioning what genre it was. And they were deliberately sort of keeping it out of horror. And we were really worried about, because the expectation of horror from the outside is that you just want to see things getting chopped. And actually, when you kind of go, no, it's just all, we all like dark stories. And that's it. And so as soon as we started showing it to horror people, they really loved it. And it was like, oh, we found our people. So it's been really, really amazing. It's been really lovely. Yeah, a real pleasure.
Well, and talking about cleaning bedrooms particularly, that set must have been quite a difficult, awkward, sticky environment. What was it like for you, the crew and the cast working in that kind of environment? It looks quite intense.
Yeah, it was intense. Yeah, the set was a magnificent inspiration by our production designer. We never thought that we had the money to build a set, and Damien, our production designer, was quite adamant that we didn't have the money to build a set. So we were kind of like looking for a flat that we could shoot in, and obviously that was sort of like a real location, and that presented lots of problems. And Damien was kind of like, well, what you're looking for is something sort of a bit like that. Like, so you've always got every angle. You can either see the way out or the bed, and it's like that kind of thing. We just all stared at that picture and we were like, I want that, please. Can you build that, please, Damien? And yeah, he's a magician.
He's a magician, and he actually found a studio for us to shoot in. I went and charmed and got us a deal that we could afford. And then he worked through having the neurovirus to build the set. Norovirus. But yeah, he was puking whilst he was making it. So that was quite hard for him. But then the stickiness...
It was also quite hard for Abby as well, who also got the norovirus. And in the B&B sequence, she was very ill throughout the whole of that. We shot that in a day, and between every take, she had to duck out of the room and be sick. Did you take out the bit of...
brush her teeth.
And then brush her teeth, yeah. But yeah, so yeah, that was very difficult for both her and Kian.
But the blood was... We didn't... Because we'd not made any horror films before, and we'd not really worked with fake blood. And the thing that they hadn't told us was just how sticky it is. And obviously the takes in this go on for ages, and we really wanted to let the actors feel the actual mood of the thing, and we didn't want to split anything up. And so Fiona, playing Nina, would get stuck to the bed, literally not able to move. And so we started trying to figure out how we could solve that, and the prosthetics guys were like, well, you could put KY into it. So we sent our runners out and we bought all the KY we could in South London. Which was a little bit, a hard job for them to do, because you're kind of walking into Tesco's with an armful of KY jelly and you're going, it's not for me, it's for a film. Not that sort of a film, it's for the blood. So yeah, they had a good time.
And you could have made, I guess you could have made, really, decided to make the gore, the wounds, more stylized. You didn't have to go for such a naturalistic and realistic.
Oh, but it has to be realistic, because it's very kind of important to us all the way through the film that there's this one central kind of impossible, magical conceit, but everything else around that had to be completely real. Because fundamentally we're not talking about magic. There is no sort of magic wishing well or kind of secret spell or anything that they have to chant to get rid of her. It is about the reality of missing someone and of grieving and of the sort of weird humiliation, in a way, that grief leaves you with. And so, yeah, it was really important that her wounds were real and horrible and were very physical, because it was also really key to us that what he misses wasn't just her witty personality, but was her body. He really missed the physicality of her in his life. So yeah, no, they had to be really real, and we're very lucky to have Dan Martin to do them for us.
Yeah, to do the prosthetics. But
Dan did prosthetics for
Ben
Kill
List.
Yeah,
he's amazing. He's absolutely amazing. Really, really knows his stuff. His first thing when he was talking about Nina as a body, when we were like, okay, so what would happen if he was like, well, it's sort of like if you had a bag of Lego. I'm like, well, can we not do that? But the design kind of came between him and the makeup designer, actually, Saffron Powell. She did a large amount on that. And the thing for Saff was to try and make sure that Nina could also look beautiful, that we didn't just turn her into a monster. And so she worked on what kind of a sheen to be putting on her. And also, they changed the glass that's sticking out of her sometimes. So sometimes they're using diamante instead of glass.
Fantastic. Well, can I talk a little bit about the casting? They're three amazing physical roles. How did you set about casting?
With a fantastic casting director. We found an amazing casting director called Emily Tillelli, and she was, just really, really fundamental in finding those three performances. Kian was the first person she kind of said to us. She was like, having read the script, she was just like, I know exactly who should play this guy. And we saw loads of people, not we didn't believe her, but you just like to make sure. And yeah, she was totally right. Kian was absolutely perfect for that role. Abigail was someone that she had never worked with before, and she just kind of saw her face in a casting book and kind of had a really good feeling about her. And I remember she was, just as Abby was coming up the stairs, she sort of explained this and said, I have no idea how this is going to go, so forgive me if this is a disaster. And Abby came in and just did one of those auditions that just leaves you with sort of the hairs on the back of your neck standing up. It was just kind of like, that's Holly. Yeah, there she is. She's just walked in through, and that was lovely.
Yeah, but that was the really interesting thing with Abby, was actually our conception of Holly in our heads was quite different from who Abby is. And Abby just brought this real naturalness to everything she was doing. So it was great to be, it's the really lovely thing about doing auditions is that you get to try out all the different roles so many different ways with loads of different people.
Yeah.
And as long as you can keep your mind open to how it could be, then it's a really fascinating experience.
Yeah.
And what is the process like with two directors when you're on the set? And Cassandra, what's it like having to work with two directors?
Double pleasure. No, it's honestly, it's really
In
great.
context, that sounds really obscene.
Sorry, I keep doing it. I'm a double entendre kind of person. No, it's actually brilliant because what you have with Chris and Ben, I don't know about other directing duos, but you have kind of pretty much one mind. They do sometimes disagree, but quietly. I've never seen a stand-up row. That could still happen. But no, they work really harmoniously together, and it means that there's always someone for the actors to talk to and for the crew to talk to whenever they need, a mind from the, anything from the director really. And it's really fascinating to watch them because you kind of go, it can't be real. They can't really be so much of a mind, but they really are. So yeah, that's great.
Fantastic. Let's see if there's any questions from the audience. Are there? Right to the very back.
Yeah, I really love the film, and I wouldn't say it was horror, I'd say it was black comedy if I had to put it in a genre. But what I wanted to ask was, who was the sound editor? Because for me, the sound of it gave it an element of realism. When Nina first appears and you hear the blood and you hear the little bones cracking and everything, it gave it a real sound of realism. And whoever did the sound editing, I think ought to be up for some kind of an award, because I thought that was excellent.
Oh, I quite agree with you. Yeah, his name is Steve Bond, and
He's a genius.
yeah, he's an MTS graduate, isn't he? He kind of put his hat in the ring for the job, and we just instantly the bunch of us clicked. He's got a very similar kind of way of working. So he fits into our workflow, kind of like his mind is kind of like, oh yeah, we can do it that way. He's very keen to kind of try things and mess around with things, but at the same time he's got a very kind of he's got an incredible kind of formal knowledge of what he's doing, but he's not kind of restrained by that. You can really kind of push him, and he'll respond, he'll play.
Yeah, and he's also actually really great. He's not one of the sound editors that will just be, I'm in a room and I'll try and recreate the sound, and that's all I'll do. What a lot of the stuff that he's been doing recently is he's doing dramas for BBC Radio, where they go to locations to shoot it, but it's literally just the sound. So he's effectively the DP, if you will, but he's very conscious about locations and sound and getting things sounding just right, and just it's just great.
Any more questions? Yeah.
Yes, I really like the cinematography actually. When you were storyboarding it all out, did you kind of have all those different sort of shots, focus pulls in mind, or did you give the cinematographer kind of like free rein?
We actually storyboarded with the cinematographer, Ollie Russell is his name. We've worked with him for 10 years, maybe a bit longer than that, and we love him. He's doing loads of stuff in telly these days, as well as this is his first feature film. So we storyboarded everything together, and we took quite a long time trying to work out the blocking and things.
We built a little model of the set out of cardboard, with those little artist mannequin dolls, kind of worked out various positions which looked very, very childish.
Yeah, it does, but if you just try and draw it, it's really easy to do stuff that physically is impossible. And you're like, yeah, okay, so they'll just be in those positions, and then you're like, no, actually, the three of us actually trying to do it. It doesn't work. So we storyboarded everything with him, and actually, we tried to do as much as we could beforehand, but we couldn't do everything, so we were storyboarding each night as well. But we were always trying to make sure that we were really discussing it with him, and so he was there in rehearsals as well with us. So he was there with the actors all the way through. Yeah,
we also, in rehearsals, we worked with a fantastic choreographer called Queenie Sachs, and a lot of kind of Nina's movement kind of came out of her, but we also made all of the cast dance together, because we sort of felt that was a really good way to kind of break down their physical barriers and stuff, but we also, because we knew that they'd have to spend so much time naked with Ollie, that we made him dance with them as well, which was quite good fun.
Did he spend any time naked?
No, he didn't go.
We did threaten at one point that he had to leave.
Any more questions?
Yeah, so you got David Troughton in this. How did you get him involved, and what did he make of the script, given it is a pretty bizarre film?
We wrote him a letter, quite simply. I grew up watching him on the stage at the RSC, and he's one of my favourite actors of all time. And so, yeah, we did audition for the part, but we couldn't quite find anyone who was quite, you know, doing what we wanted. So I was like, well, okay, let's try David. So we wrote him a letter and sort of said, you know, been a fan of your work for a very long time. Here's our ridiculous script. And he just loved it. It made him laugh.
He suggested a sequel, which was him and the mum, and he starts coming back there.
I'll look forward to that.
Oh. Not sure I want to see that anyway. Well, we'll show it.
Really beautiful film, small film at the end.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask about the three leads' initial reactions when they first saw the script, and also, I know you've just come back from Stitches and been all around with it. How's the humour's gone around the world?
So you've just come back from Stitches. How's it gone? If Keswick couldn't hear that, how's it gone? Humour, how's it gone down around the world?
Yeah, and the actors' responses.
What the response to the script was?
Start with actors.
Yeah, okay. Well,
So actors-wise, Abigail is coming from, she was coming from doing stuff in children's television, so she's mainly known by kids of about 12. And she was really, really excited to do something and be able to say, okay, no, I'm in an adult film and I'm doing an adult thing.
yeah, but her fan base actually, they're now about 15, and it's kind of like, this film is just on the cusp of what's available for them.
And Kian originally wasn't available.
Yeah, he wasn't available, yeah.
But no, he was always down with it.
Yeah, he was always down with it, but Fiona turns down flat. She was just like, I've done Crazy Weird People, got no interest in doing Crazy Weird People, it's a no. And then, actually what happened, found out recently, talking to her, she read the script, because everyone that auditioned, we sent everyone the full script, because we just thought, there's no point beating around the bush, you're either going to get this or not. So she read the whole script, turned it down because it was too weird, and then she was having dinner with a friend of hers, and it was like 2 weeks after she turned it down, and her friend was like, would you shut up about this film? You've said no, why are you still talking about it? Clearly you want to do this part, you're obsessed, bring them back. And so she did.
Yeah, which was very fortunate for us, because she's amazing.
Yeah.
She's got such an amazing way in when you're seeing her act. She's got bounds of stuff. I mean, I actually genuinely was sitting there with her, experiencing the second scene and the stuff that's going through her head. You're going, I genuinely do believe that you're dead, and that you're trying, that you're feeling that and trying to work that out in your head. It was magical to be sitting there.
Yeah.
See that. But yeah, so festivals around the world, Benjamin.
Oh, festivals around the world, yeah. Well, we always try and watch the films with an audience, because it is just joyful watching anything with an audience, and it's really fascinating how this film obviously hasn't changed since we finished work on it, but everywhere it screens, it's different, because the audience, it's a live event, and the audience change it, and certain things become funny, and certain things stop being funny. A really clear and fascinating example was 2 days ago in Spain, the bit where Dan reads the book out to Rob. For the first time ever, no one laughed. Total silence. So it was a real relief to be back in the end to have your fantastic laughter at that point, which is what normally happens.
Yeah.
But then equally, in Spain, for almost the first time ever, there's a thing that we always found quite funny, but no one else has really noticed, and tonight, if maybe you still had an intellectual, I see, but it didn't, there wasn't a titter in the room. But when Holly comes in for the second time and she's really cold, and Rob hugs her and says, oh, you're freezing, and then moments later Nina turns up and they kiss, and Nina goes, you're so warm. That made us laugh. And in Spain, wow, was that funny. That got applause. That was like, yes, cold, but colder, because dead.
Although it might just be the translation, because we don't speak Catalan, so we're not sure if whether the subtitles were doing something really cool at that point.
Maybe.
The subtitles is really fascinating as well. Seeing that, my favourite from Sitges was Sexy Chico Suicidal.
Whereas mine was Analisto Data, which is his final job.
And oh god, what was it? Oh yeah, the in France when he's coming off his motorbike is Tombe de Moto, which always just sounds like he's just come off. You know, he's had a little tumble. Yeah, it's really fascinating.
Yeah.
Each country
is different.
Is different.
To run in Montreal, rather, they laughed almost all the way through to the point where I was starting to worry about it. And interestingly, it's only in the UK that the bit where they bought the white sheets and they made love in the daytime, and Nina's like, I don't know why you bought white, because then there's blood everywhere. It's only in the UK that anyone laughs at that.
I think we're going to have to draw things to a close, so I just want to know what we can expect from you next, essentially. And will it be as dark as this?
In a different way, yes.
Yeah. It's going to be very, very tense, and it's going to be about a very unusual character in the middle of it, is where we're at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not allowed to say anything more.
Well, on that note, thank you very, very much, Ben and Chris and Cassandra.